TechDB, and I know with the newer players, they have a lot of questions about all the acronyms and what everything means on the paintball guns. And I'm going to try to explain it as best as I can, just using my mark here. But what I want to tell you is that when you're kind of craving information about guns and what everything means and stuff like that, the best thing I can tell you to do is go to the websites of the different manufacturers and download the manuals and print them out. That's one of the best resources that you will ever get. I mean, even better than my videos. I mean, go to the manufacturer's websites and down. I mean, they'll tell you what everything means, the correct term. They'll even tell you the size of the screws, the O-ring sizes, everything. Okay, so I'm going to go through and try to talk just about some basic parts about the gun. But I definitely recommend that if you're craving information about guns and what are all the parts called and what are these acronyms and stuff like that called, go and download a manual or a couple manuals from a couple different websites: Planet Eclipse, Bob Long, Die, Dangerous Power, Proto. I mean, I'm just throwing some out there. E-Tech. These are all these companies have really good manuals. No, maybe not Bob Long, but all these companies have really good manuals, and they'll show you exploded views of the gun, inside and out, what each and individual part is called, the part number, the O-ring size, and everything. But with that said, okay, let's start with the gun and let's talk about what the barrel is. Okay, now a lot of guns now, back probably 5-6 years ago, there were tons of different barrel threads. Now most of the guns nowadays that are coming out, they're either going to be spider threaded, Tippmann threaded, which Tippmann has two different. They got the Model 98 and the A5. Those are two different threads. You've got the spider thread, Tippmann thread. You have the autococker thread, which is mostly the standard now that most of the guns are coming with now are autococker threaded barrels. The Intimidator, all of Bob Long's guns come with autococker barrels. All of Die's guns are autococker threaded. Planet Eclipse guns are all autococker threaded. The Infinity's autococker threaded. Even the Dangerous Power's autococker threaded. So most of the guns that are coming out on the market right now are autococker threaded barrels. Okay, then you have Smart Parts. Smart Parts has they used to have two different barrel threads. They had the Ion, which was also the Nerve, which also is the Shocker NXT, and then they used to have their Shocker SFT, Sealed Forward Technology. The SFT used to use their own, but now they even went to their own thread, which is the Ion thread, which is also the Nerve thread, also the Impulse thread, and the NXT. They all use now the same barrel thread. But barrels, this is the barrel. Now a lot of barrels are two-piece barrels that are coming out. You got the barrel back and the barrel front, and they screw together. But you got to keep in mind though, CP barrel front does not fit a die front. So if you're going to get the same barrel, if you're going to put together a barrel, make sure that the front and the back are the same type. Okay, something else too. Feedneck, okay? A couple different feednecks that are out there right now, clamping feednecks. This is the feedneck. This is where your loader goes into and it snugs down. This right here on the mark, by far, is the best feedneck in the paintball industry that this comes on the mark. Regulator, okay? Now, a lot of guns use a two-part regulator system, okay? And if you look at a tank, there's quite a few regulators that are in line here, okay? You have the air starts at 4,500 PSI. Gets regulated down to 850 PSI coming into the gun. The high pressure regulator takes from 850 PSI, puts it down to 200, and another little tiny regulator inside there regulates the cycling, what goes into the solenoid, down to about 80-90 PSI. Now a lot of guns don't have two regulators, most guns do. A lot of the die guns have regulators, most of the cheaper made guns do not have two regulators in them, but most of the guns have two regulators in them. Then you've got the trigger. Inside the trigger, inside here you've got your board. Here's your grip frame. ASA, which is short for air source adapter, is a standard thread of screwing in tanks and screwing in regulators. Now I'll show you something really quick. The guns have, like I said, the air source adapter, ASA. The ASA that's up here is also the same thread that goes into this ASA. So you've got an air source adapter that goes into the gun, and you also have an air source adapter that goes down here. Now, as you can see, this regulator that I just unscrewed out of the body also threads into this down here. So you can see that, I know it looks funny, but you can see that this is the same thread that comes in here. This is an industry standard thread. And this is why I get so mad at like Kingman for going against this, or even like the new the Proto SLG. It doesn't use this standard thread. Okay, we like our standards. That's why they're standards. That's why everybody uses them. When they go proprietary, it pisses me off. I don't like proprietary parts. You know, you've got your grip frame, which is this all right here. Some of the other parts that a lot of people have questions about are detents. Detents are what prevent the ball from rolling out of the barrel. Okay, what it is, and there's a couple different types of detents. You have the old style, which are still used on the Planet Eclipse, which are basically the Intimidator detents. Those are little plastic nubbins that stick in, little rubber nubbins that stick in. They're like miniature rubber fingers, and what they do is they prevent the ball from rolling down the barrel. Then you've got the new style detents, which are the Delrin detents. Instead of having the little rubber fingers, it's like two Delrin fists that are spring-loaded, and those tend to work really, really well and last a really long time. Some guns, like the Dangerous Power, use a ball bearing with a spring in behind it, so when you push on it, the bearing goes in, but it's like a little gate that holds the paintball in place so that it doesn't roll down the barrel. It holds it in place so that the bolt, which is another part, the bolt is what touches the ball and pushes it down the barrel. The air, it lets the air go through and push it down the barrel. There's something else too. There's the breech. The breech is what they call this area right here, where the detents, where the eyes are at, where the bolt goes through. That's considered the breech. Another thing is the eyes. Eyes basically work like your garage door opener, okay? If you trip the eyes, it's basically like picture a laser beam that goes across your breech there. If a ball goes down it and blocks the breech, then it knows that there's a ball in place, just like your garage door opener. If your garage door opener is closing and you walk across that beam, it goes back up. If the eyes are on here and a ball drops between it, it's blocking the eye beam, the gun knows to go ahead and shoot without breaking a ball. Inside here, you know, every gun is going to be different in terms of what is inside here. Go and download the manuals, and it'll tell you all the information that you need. Some manuals, like some of the die manuals, are 20, 30 pages. Some of the Planet Eclipse manuals are 20, 30 pages. Go and download the manuals. They're going to tell you every single part inside of the paintball gun, from the pistons inside the regulators to the spring stack to, I mean, you just name it. The air channels and the air transfer holes and the membrane pad, which is what you push your finger on to turn your gun on or off or disable the eyes or whatever. The air source adapter, ASA, on-off ASA, and something else too, the rail, which can get mailed down here at the bottom so you can slide your ASA on and off and adjust it to how you want. But I can talk about all the different parts that are on the gun for hours. The best thing I can tell you to do is go and download the manuals, print them up, and study them. They're going to tell you everything about every part inside the gun, all the way down to breaking down the solenoid, the trigger, the microswitch, which is what's on the board, the optical switch. I mean, you name it, that's what's going to happen. So go download the manuals. It's the best thing that you can do, and hopefully this clears up some beginner questions on what are all these parts and all these acronyms on the paintball gun. So thanks for tuning in.